Hello, everybody, and you're extremely welcome to our channel, NarcCon. This channel deals with everything to do with narcissists, how they behave, who they are, how they represent themselves, so that you can analyze your past or current relationship and get the heck out, basically, if you decide or discover that person is likely a narcissist, or deal with it appropriately in relation to the education you receive. Today, I'd like to hit on or talk about the AntiChrist in the God-fearing narcissist, in inverted commas. Because to me, this is the most heinous presentation or heinous mask that the narcissist wears. And that is the mask of a God-fearing or God-fearing man or woman. And I include every religion, and I have respect for every religion, where people practice to be good and to look after each other and to be godlike for whomever or whatever God you worship. So I would like to just put that out there. I was raised Christian myself, but I love all religions where people truly practice in good faith and have good intentions towards others. I also have an announcement, just to make at the end of this podcast, so I won't take your time up just at the beginning. If you want to stay with us till the end, I will make that little announcement. So the narcissist basically doesn't develop a personality as such, not a stable personality as a child. They reject learning and growing personally and adopt for a period, a fixed type of persona that is godlike, omnipotent, can do no wrong, must never be criticized, is always right, is always superior, and needs to control every situation so that they get people to give them things, or that they can take things from people, or that they can steal things from people and actually destroy the person in the doing of it, and justify destroying the person, saying the person is to blame for their own destruction. Now, where is this in relation to the God-fearing, mask-wearing narcissist? Narcissists, wherever they land on earth, may land in a religious community and may understand that community and how it works very well, and learn their earlier manipulations in such a community. Or they may have no knowledge whatsoever of such a community, but at some stage come across one or a person that is God-fearing and learn very quickly how this is a fertile ground to do their worst and do their damnedest. And it's a community which is literally thousands of meals, not just one meal, not just one source of narcissistic supply. So narcissists love groups of people. They love getting into clubs. They love, doing the best narcissist they can possibly do in their workplace, causing as much chaos as possible, using people against each other, setting people up against each other, and pretending for whatever organization they've gone into that they're the most loyal, the most true, the most committed, the most false person or mask they're representing in that community. That's the truth. So I think the most heinous, as I've said, presentation of a narcissist is to pose as a God-fearing person, to use the mask of God to hide behind, to justify their actions using God as the justification, to win you over in a falsity, in a false presentation, of using the words of God to bring you in to a trust situation and confuse the heck out of you in relation to you being in a relationship with one and introspecting and trying to live a godly life. And a godly life always will ask us to look at ourselves, see if we're doing anything wrong. If somebody is telling us that they're not happy and that we're doing something wrong, we don't shout like the narcissist, I'm not doing anything wrong, it's you, it's you, it's you. And in truth, it generally is the narcissist that's causing all this confusion and chaos. And if you can just think of the exquisite agony a God-fearing narcissist causes both spiritually and mentally. They use your own belief system against you. They will say things to you like, what is love to you? And you may say, it's loving, it's being kind, it's being caring, it's as unconditional as possible. And then they'll whip back at you and say, well, if you loved me in a godlike way, you wouldn't have a problem with me going out 4 nights a week and staying out late and doing the work God has called me to do. Now, that work may very well be having affairs with various different people, or affairs of the mind with various different people to give, so the narcissist can garner things, money, etc. from them. Not God's work, cloaked as doing God's work. If you could imagine, if you believed in the AntiChrist or the devil, how would they best disrespect God? How would they make a mockery of God? In my opinion, they would present as God and confuse, beguile, make people trust them, total deceit, and use that deceit to destroy people who thought they were following God's word because this person was so convincing that they had good intentions. My friends, the narcissist comes out of childhood. They may have a natural talent, like they may be able to sing, they definitely can act. They may be able to, be good with their hands. They may be able to paint. That is a stable characteristic that will go through life with them. The rest is a total act one, play one, different film, different movie for different people. Some of them perfect a particular role that they find particularly effective. And today we're discussing the God-fearing narcissist or woman. The way this is, I suppose, the changing of the masks, let's get into that and then we'll get into more of the God-fearing narcissist mask. The AntiChrist hiding behind it. If you have dated a narcissist, and leave in the comments if you are gobsmacked by this. The narcissist may, for instance, have loved hiking with you, but when you suggested going to art classes, they said, oh no, I would be bored out of my mind. I'm not doing that. They may not have had to do that because they may have had you hooked and love bombed enough not to have to pretend to love art classes. Then supposing you're a vegetarian and they were carnivores, they go over to your vegetarianism and they learn how to cook the vegetarian meals. And you're going, well, that's, and that's great. They're changing. If that's what they want to do, that's what they want to do. It's a free world. They go on to the next person and you hear there's a new Van Gogh, a Rembrandt. They're taking art classes twice weekly with the new supply. And you're scratching your head and going, what? And And they've taken all your vegetarian recipes and are posing as a vegetarian to this new person. And they've come up with all the recipes. They have generated all these meals all on their own. Nothing to do with anyone else. This is original. They claim originality via plagiarism. They look at things attributed to other people's characters and personality. And if there's something they see they like, or if that person's getting particular attention for a particular characteristic, they will put that characteristic, attach it to their mask, and use it to manipulate somebody. Everything is transactional. Everything is used for manipulation. That's the way they boogie. That's the way they go through life. That's the way they are set up. Let's get back to the religious narcissist, or even just the congregational narcissist, who is big in the church, who takes a great and active role in the church, where they have access to people who trust them because of the position they're in. And it is even more heinous when they're pastors or reverends or priests or whoever, or rabbis, whatever status they have in the church. The position implies that they're trustworthy. And they know this. And they get already sadistic pleasure from knowing something you don't know. So the amount of pleasure they get in this hypocrisy, in this deceit of you, and using your beliefs against you as you maybe object to something they're doing, and they connotate it with, well, God says this, so I know it seems maybe harsh to you, but in doing God's will, we must suffer, for God's will and God's word. And to me, that is the devil twisting the truth to manipulate you into doing something that you are hesitant about, that you have a moral issue with. But you are so trusting of this individual, and they have boasted so much about the good deeds that they do. And they've built, they've love bombed your congregation to such an extent that your congregation even maybe looking at you slightly oddly at different times, because what they've actually done is started the smear campaign on you. As soon as they entered the relationship with you, they resented the fact that you were part of something they wanted to be part of. So narcissists don't compromise, narcissists don't share, so you have to be ousted so that they can take your position. Let me know if this has happened. I know it happens all the time in congregations, in churches, in communities that worship and that try and do their best to follow God's word. So why do they pick religious people? If somebody has a strong identity and a strong belief system, it's literally giving the narcissist intel into how to manipulate them. If you're just a general person and you have various ideas about different things, they change sometimes, they modify, they escalate, they de-escalate. The narcissist has to do a lot of feely around, a lot of asking a lot of questions, spending more time with you to find out how to push your buttons, find out your vulnerabilities, find out what is important to you. Although I think that on a spiritual, energetic level, they can nearly hone in on that automatically. However, having said that, if you have a religious person that follows a set of beliefs, it's like having a manual for that person. You know what they believe in. You know what they value. So you look up the manual. How do they react in this situation? God says this. I have it. The narcissist goes into the manual, wants you to do a function and said, God says this. And you're scratching your head saying, I don't think that that's what he means, God means when they say that. And then the narcissist goes, well, there's different interpretations and my interpretation would be, and you're kind of going, And you are bamboozled and brainwashed because it's chaotic, because you think this person is a well-respected, God-fearing person and seems to know a lot about the Bible and a lot about sayings or a lot about the Quran or whatever. And you are inclined to go along to a certain extent with what they're saying, particularly if you're in close proximity to them. If you see them over there acting a certain way and you're judging their actions more than their words, it's more obvious and you can be more objective about it. But if you've aligned yourself with this person and trust that they have your best interests, God's best interests, and people's best interests at heart, it's more difficult to look at things objectively. Tell you, oh yeah, this is to me, this is like sick making, basically. So I'm going to go to the third commandment, which says, "Thou shalt not take the name of the Lord thy God in vain." That's happening. That's happening in our world today. People are saying that they are anointed by God and they are quoting the Bible, and you may have had this in a one-to-one relationship, misquoting the Bible, saying that they're going to bring about what it says in the Bible. What this commandment means is using God's name for magic or personal gain, or claiming to represent God while acting contrary to his will and for evil purposes. In a church setting, this church person may tell you not to speak to this person over here, for they have sinned gravely, or to actually do something against them that will destroy them, justifying the call to action by saying they have prayed deeply to God, they are anointed by God to carry out his will, and his will be done. It is literally an evil twisting of taking on the mantle of interpreting what God has said in any of the holy books. God says, "Thou shalt not kill." God says, "Thou shalt not steal." God says, "Thou shalt not destroy." God says, "Thou shalt not take my name in vain." God says, "Be faithful to my teachings." God says, "Be not God." When people take on that type of authority and in God's name destroy other people for their own personal power and glorification in whatever setting you are seeing it, whether it's in your home, whether somebody's taking the total lead in your home and saying, "My word in this house is the only word that goes," the authoritarian parent, whether a child who is looking after elderly parents and they are the authority on everything and they are not, nobody else has a choice. Whosoever puts him or herself in that type of position and causes suffering to others in God's name, to me, is the Antichrist. Because not only are they doing something really bad, like murdering or destroying somebody or stealing from them and saying it's your fault. That's bad enough. But they're doing it obviously. But to say that it's God's will, to say that they're anointed by God, to stand in God's houses in this world and preach evil in God's name, has got to be the most evil, sadistic presentation of a malignant narcissist and worse that you could ever come across. Please see with your eyes open, not the words, not the false promises, not the false reasons for things, but the presentation of a narcissist posing as something that they are not, and surely not God. So, on the note of spirituality, I had an interview in relation to the channel and the work carried out last year by the most lovely person called Alex de Cadenet. And he has put that interview, or written that interview, for a publication. Let me know if you know of it. It's called Watkins Spiritual Magazine, in relation to spirit, mind and body, which comes out 4 times a year. And it's coming out in April, and the interview's in it if anybody would like to read it. It's about the spiritual aspects of the channel and, you know, how things came about, the background to the work, and why I feel it's important to get the spiritual aspect of narcissism and the actions narcissists take out clearly for people to be able to analyze the actions of people around them that they're feeling iffy about, that they feel that there's something wrong, that every time they deal with this person, they feel stress in their stomach and illness in their spirit, and their energy drained, and they don't feel good about themselves after interacting with this person. And it happens all the time, that there's a subtle devaluation coming from this person who's posing as the nicest person in the world. And it's just too confusing to be true, because you're wondering why you're feeling so bad about the interaction, and the other person's there smiling and being really nice and is held in the community you believe as a nice person. And you think and think on it and think, gosh, is there really something so wrong with me that I feel so bad about myself around interacting with this person? So that's what the work is all about. It's just to get clarity, so people don't waste time with these parasitic energy centers, and they can get on with their own life's purpose. The lesson I learned, and still talk about this day, is saying thank you for spreading that message, because it has helped me greatly, and some people will say save their lives, just as I was saying. So that's the publication. When I get more, pictures of the magazine, I share the magazine picture itself. I sincerely hope everybody is doing well, and we send our best regards to you all this spring. Spring is a time of renewal, fresh starts. You can create any life you want for yourself. You can literally change your life. You do not have to be trapped by the community we're born into, by the opinions of others as to who and what you are and should be. You are a free spirit. I know you may have responsibilities, there may be financial constraints, all of those things can be worked on. So take heart, take a deep breath, and go into spring with a renewed spirit. You do not have to carry the darkness of the narcissist with you forever, and even if it's hard to shake it off, and it's all about now. It's possible. It's been done. Believe me, I think a lot of other people think it is possible. So don't ever please give up hope. Living a fantastic life again. It's just plain fun, as much as anything else. The good life doesn't have to be a boring life. So, with that said, I will